Welcome to Hawthorne Hill Farm. My name is Marilyn Cameron. I'm a farmer and a retired veterinarian. And my husband Paul is still working as a pharmacist, but helps on the farm as much as he can. Together, we operate a small market garden farm and attend a weekly market in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. We raise a flock of Shetland sheep for wool and care for lots of free-range hens. We have meat birds in the summer too. Clarabelle is our family milk cow, and Tuli, her calf, are our newest additions to the farm. We hope you will join us to see what we do on our farm, from our morning chores in the barn to tending one of our many gardens. We'll be harvesting, preserving, preparing all the ingredients grown right here on the farm. Over the years, we have learned so much about being more self-reliant. Although we've made lots of mistakes, we've got lots of help too, watching other YouTube homesteaders. So if we can help you to be more self-sustaining, then our goals will be achieved. Thanks for watching. Good morning. It's a gorgeous day out there, and it's late October, and we have finally finished putting all the vegetable gardens to bed for the winter. There's just a couple of very minor things left to do, and we have planted the garlic, and I have a video that I put out for that. And today I want to do 4 small things. I want to make pickled red onions. You can make those any time of the year, and they're delicious in sandwiches, etc., and subs and things like that. I want to make some vanilla extract. I want to dry some parsley and put some parsley in oil for the freezer as well. And I want to make butter. So I would like to get started with the red onions first. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get your onions peeled for your little jars. And I'm going to try to fill 4 of these little mason jars with that. We go through them pretty quick, so I really like this variety because they're red all the way through. And it was such a good curing year for onions, because I guess one of the positives of having no rain for 3 months is that it's a good curing year for onions and garlic and things like that. So now I want to start cutting them, and something like that. Start packing the jars as tight as you can. You open them up so they're just rings going in, and you pack the jars as tight as you can. So, in a pot, bring to a boil 2 cups of red wine vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, 1 bay leaf in each jar, 2 teaspoons of salt. This is 2 teaspoons of cracked whole black peppers around, and they'll go in here. Okay. And then grenadine. That just makes the liquid nice and red, and that is 4 tablespoons. 2. Let's bring this to a boil. And you boil that hard for 1 minute. Okay, set my timer for 1 minute, and I'll just Job one done. Now I'm going to run out to the garden and grab the last of the parsley to make more dehydrated parsley and some parsley and oil for the freezer. I got 2 little plots of parsley here, and looks like we've got lots more that regrew back after being cut before. I always seem to run out of parsley when I dry it. I only make 1 bottle, but this year I want to make 2. But I don't need a ton of stems this time, but I'll take a couple of good handfuls. I love using parsley in soups and on casseroles and on top of veggies. Just fancies them up and looks really nice. So now I have a nice handful of that. And I thought while I'm out here, I might just show you what we've done to some of the other gardens so you can see how we put everything to bed for the winter. In the first of our 6 vegetable gardens, this one and the next one are covered with silage plastic. They're weighed down, got lots of sandbags and rocks. The plastic prevents the soil from blowing away or flowing away with heavy rain or snow. Last year, these 2 smaller gardens had a cover crop of oats and peas on them. 2 of our larger gardens got planted with oats and peas as each row was emptied out, and the polymulch walkways are left in place for the winter. Both of these gardens had silage plastic on them last year. The oats and peas will continue to grow until hit with hard frost, and then they'll die back. This will add a lot of organic matter to the soil, plus help prevent any losses to the soil from wind and heavy rains. Now going out back, we have the grapes here. Were very productive. We harvested most of them and made a lot of juice, grape juice, and some jelly. This is where the potatoes were. We covered this garden with silage plastic as well. There's a small portion up at the top where we planted it with oats and peas. This is where the hascaps are. Paul composted around each of them to help fertilize them for the fall. The raspberry patch, there's 3 rows here, were fertilized and also pruned. That's quite a big job to prune out all the dead wood. I also spent quite a bit of time sweeping the walkways, but I see that the chickens were here and have messed it all up again. Chickens do tend to make a mess wherever they can, and if there's any kind of mulch, and they can get into it. We also pruned out the dead wood in the blackberries, and they were also mulched with more sawdust and were weeded. The blueberry plants certainly are pretty in the fall as the leaves turn red. Because of the drought, my husband Paul was really worried about some of them dying, so he really worked hard to keep them watered. This bed is the 5th of our garden, vegetable garden plots, and this is where our squash, zucchini, pumpkins were planted this year. Next to where some of the garlic crop was planted this year is a small plot of oats and peas. This is one of the garlic rotation plots, and this part wasn't planted. We estimate 6,000 or more garlic planted in these 6 rows. They have a heavy layer of straw on them as well as a good layer of chicken manure. Where the garlic were last year, this plot is now covered with silage plastic. And last but not least is the asparagus and rhubarb rows. I will cut all those stalks down very soon. Okay, let's get back to drying out some parsley. To dehydrate parsley, I use a couple of pieces of paper towel to lay the leaves on after removing the stalks. I like using flat leaf parsley, and this variety is called Giant of Italy. Here's what it looks like when it's done. When I get a load of leaves on the paper towel, I put them in the microwave. The first setting is for 1 minute and then 30-second increments after that. While that's working in the microwave, I can certainly start another sheet of parsley leaves. Okay. There. So they're kind of limp, and you can see they're not crunchy at all. They're just limp. Okay. So we'll push that back in and let that go for another 30 seconds. You hear the crunch? They're ready. So you can kind of, in your hands, you can kind of squish them up a little bit. So you trim your parsley of its stems, and you can use curly parsley or you can use flat leaf like this one. And this is the Giant of Italy one. I won't go too full because sometimes it gonks up. And then we'll just drizzle just a little bit. So you're looking at about a teaspoon, okay? And pop it on your little thing. Take it, fill up a little mason jar, pop it in the freezer. Okay. So these great little bottles come from IKEA. Nice vanilla beans. They're big and they're nice and tender, nice and sticky, which is good. And This represents about a half a cup, I think, in liquid. So I think I might have a cup of vodka in here. So we're going to fill that up with a little funnel. Just keep that around. The vanilla bean. So because that's bigger than that, these are going to have to be one cut in half, right? And then split. I usually just hold the end and then just take a sharp knife and do the best I can. And I would say each little jar should probably get 5. A liter of vodka would get 25. So that was up to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 to 25 is 6. So yeah, we'll do 6. There. This is mine that I made last year. It's not ready until January 26th, but you can see I've already half used it. It's quite nice and dark. So they'll get there. It's a really nice idea. Next, I think I have a little time to make a small batch of butter out of these 5 gallons of milk that got a little ahead of me. I believe these are morning milking, and the cream line on these jugs is a bit narrower than the evening milking. So now I'll just spend a few minutes ladling cream off of these gallon jugs of milk, and I expect to fill this blender container. Next, I'll heat up the milk to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Pop a thermometer in it so that you can monitor that. I put the blender container, the top of the blender, in a large bowl so that I can add a couple of magic bags around it. That helps speed it up. After it comes to temperature, I will blend the cream on medium until the sound changes. The sound will drop down, and that indicates that the butter has separated from the milk, forming buttermilk. You can now pour off the liquid buttermilk into the sink or a large bowl if you're going to use it. In any regard, rinse it with cold water. smush the butter with a paddle or spoon to remove as much buttermilk as possible. You can also pick up handfuls of butter and run them under cold water while you're squeezing and folding as you go. Continue rinsing and squeezing the butter until the buttermilk runs pretty clear. So for me, 4 liters of cream makes 1.5 to 2 pounds of butter. And I like my half-pound butter to be salted with a half a teaspoon. I use the pink Himalayan salt. Mix the salt into the butter well. Once that's done, I use these little half-pound silicone pans to fill with butter. Then I freeze them for a couple of days. Then I pop the little blocks of butter out onto parchment paper, date them, and pop them into like Ziploc freezer bags and put them in the freezer until they're needed. Making butter is lots of fun, and it's one chore that I love doing.